During this new moon, I want to talk about something we almost never hear when Virgo is mentioned. No, it's not about spreadsheets cleaning or why they get that strange pleasure from reorganizing the fridge. It's about the taboo side of Virgo, the one that has been quietly hiding behind all that pure branding. And yes, we are going to talk sex. Because if you want taboo, you might just go straight for the crown jewel. Now I know what you're thinking. Virgo? Sex? Isn't Virgo supposed to be the sign of the Virgin? Well, yes, but only in the PR version. The real story is much more interesting. And during this new moon, I want to talk not just about the positive manifestations that Virgo sexuality can take, but I also want to shine a light on the Virgo's energy that lives in the shadows, that people politely ignore or pretend it doesn't exist. Especially because these aspects will be strongly activated during this new moon. So first, let's start with the positives, shall we? Virgo is often associated with the word the Virgin. However, historically, the word the Virgin didn't always mean never had sex. It meant a woman who belonged only to herself. Someone who owned her sexuality and didn't answer to any partner, husband, or anyone else. And in some traditions, the Virgin was actually a kind of a priestess that used her sexuality to connect with the gods, to heal, to do rituals that connected the communities. So yes, Virgo may just be the original independent woman. So in its higher form, we can say that Virgo treats its sexual energy as sacred. It understands the responsibility of bringing life into the world and the service that follows it. It values prevention, protection, and respect for one's body, not from a place of fear, but from a place of wisdom. But here's the paradox. The same energy that can create and elevate can also wound, deplete, and disconnect us, especially when it's misused. The same key that opens the temple door can also, unfortunately, lock you inside. Unfortunately, no sign gets away without its shadow. And even the most beautiful astrological manifestations have their lower manifestation. And in Virgo, sexuality can slip into a very dark and rarely advertised direction. So let's break this down, shall we? The Virgo shadow, it's complicated. Sometimes it's the complete rejection of sex. We are talking about extreme modesty, judgment, and deep suspicion of anyone who dares to wiggle their hips. But that's only the polite version. The less polite truth is that when you block sexual energy completely, it has a bad habit of finding creative escape routes. Sometimes messy, sometimes risky, and occasionally scandalous. Someone can, for example, outrageously flirt, but then pull back when things get real. Or they may, on the other hand, choose to live consciently a double life. Proper in public and wild enough to make your jaw drop in private. And when the guilt kicks in, it may lead to a full cycle of shame, regret, and self-criticism. Then there's the Virgo link to service, which mixed with sexuality can go to extremes. We are talking about sexual submission, taken as an actual duty, not a desire. Sometimes this blends uncomfortably with actual work, when serving the boss stops being a metaphor. And while some people sometimes explore submission in a healthy way, The dark side often stems from low self-esteem, trauma, or the belief that somehow they deserve to be punished. This pattern tends to repeat until something forces a change, usually a breaking point, when the situation becomes unbearable. And while evolutionary astrologers sometimes argue that even extreme behaviors may be a way to heal wounds, Virgo energy is at its best when it's conscious, not running on the autopilot of shame. Continuing this shadow side, it can also spark conflict between partners. This can be at work or romantic partners. People may feel like they're getting mixed signals, being played, or suddenly confronted with past indiscretions coming to the surface. This usually happens because the other person may not always understand what is going on and the conflict happening on the Virgonian person head. And of course, when I speak about Virgo, I'm speaking about all the placements where we have the Virgo sign in our chart for all 12 signs. So people may unfortunately interpret it as bad intent or manipulation. And this doesn't mean that that may not be the case, but not always, of course. On the other hand, the individual may here also as well completely surrender to its sexual urges. Here, people may develop sex addiction, nymphomania, and even adopt the role of sexual slave, kind of like a sexual servant, taking the Virgo concept of service to a dark extreme. Prostitution and sexual submission are classic examples. Sex may unfortunately also become here a tool for self-punishment. Thinking of self-inflicted pain, sadomasochism, or BDSM. And historically, this can all be tied down to religion, where acts like self-flagellation were believed to purify the soul. But over the time, the consequences, emotional, physical, and mental, can guide the individual back to themselves. And they are prompt to find the root cause of the issue and start their healing. Taking this off the context of sex for a moment, this shadow issue may also manifest in normal work situations and relationships, leading to actual situations of work exploitation. And if the individual knows that he's being exploited and he's allowing it, this may stem from a deep wound and a deep need of purifying the soul from trauma or wrongdoing, expressed through this way of unhealthy servitude. Many people that are abused, unfortunately, they allow it to go, the situation to develop over long periods of time until they actually mastering the courage and the awareness to take the steps to protect themselves. And here we can see this deep need of self-punishment or inflicting pain on themselves to balance some inner depth. So if you have Virgo places lighting up during this new moon, don't be surprised if themes around sexuality, control, independence or service, in or out of the bedroom, start surfacing. This is one of those lunations where the pure sign of the Virgin may show just how complicated purity may be. I want to also mention another aspect that is usually not referred when we speak about the sign of Virgo. Virgo is a sign strongly tied out to conflict management, especially conflict management in the workplace, in the areas where you provide your service to the world. And this area can strongly be triggered during this new moon. Competition, resentment, jealousy can spark conflict. whether from those denying themselves self-expression or from the side of people exploiting others to borderline narcissism. It can also happen those who are allowing themselves to be abused to get to a breaking point. And of course, not everybody who is being abused is a person trying to self-punish or self-purge. There are actual innocent victims caught into these unpleasant situations. And this is especially relevant, taking into account the next transit I'm going to mention that will be activated during this new moon. So stick with me if you want to find out what is expecting you in the days to come. This new moon in Virgo shines a spotlight on the complex dance between purity and desire, service and control, independence or repression. And Virgo's energy urges us to confront how we manage our bodies, our boundaries, and yes, our sexuality, the ultimate act of service and of creation. But the heavens, they aren't sending this message gently. As Venus, the goddess of love, pleasure, and values, opposes Pluto, the planet of power, transformation, and the underworld, with a square as well to Chiron, the wounded healer, that is now in Aries, the sign that is correlated with masculinity. The stakes are raised. This configuration cracks open to deep, often suppressed wounds around the feminine and the masculine. And this within all of us, because we all, whether we are woman or man, we all have a masculine and a feminine side. It forces us to face the dark reality that lurks underneath. Wounds of control, violence, and repression. And the dangerous fallout when these energies go unchecked. And unfortunately, women and everyone who is in tune with the feminine side will be more vulnerable during this new moon. And this transit will also be stretching and be active from August 22 to September 5th. And this is a more dangerous time, my friends, when boundaries can unfortunately be violated and the risk of abuse, exploitation, and harm can increase. So this is the time to be fiercely protective of yourself and those around you. Simultaneously, during this new moon and during this all period, the wounds of the masculine will also be exposed. Struggle with power, sexuality, identity, performance, trust, and respect come to the storefront. The pressure to be a man, to provide, to protect, can fracture into anger, fear, or even violent outbursts. Likewise, the feminine energy that should flow freely may be in danger to be forced to silence and to suppress. A kind of invisible imprisonment that can be as damaging as an actual physical harm. Adding to this tension, Lilith will be squaring Mercury in Leo, and Uranus in Gemini will square this new moon in Virgo. This may still potential verbal conflicts driven by jealousy, pride, and deep-seated ones. Expect flashpoints in relationships, particularly between partners and close friends, because conversations may unexpectedly erupt with aggressive venom. With Uranus' unpredictable influence, trauma and power struggles may surface abruptly, creating moments of crisis that require urgent attention. But amidst this storm, Saturn and Neptune form a stabilizing trine, offering a chance to dissolve illusion, rebuild protective structures, and gain clarity on the shadow issues. And finally, Lilith, trining Jupiter, provides a ray of hope, encouraging us to nurture our authentic self and give voice to our true desires, even in the face of darkness. This isn't a transit to take lightly. Awareness, vigilance, compassion are essential. The new moon in Virgo calls us to clean our house, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, shining light into the shadow corners where trauma, repression, and power imbalances hide. If your sun, moon, or rising is in Virgo, this reading is for you. You are the poster child for Don't Mess With Me. But this new moon pulls back the curtain on your personal hygiene and your personal fantasies. Yes, those fantasies you pretend don't exist. Time to own your messy, needy, and perfectly imperfect self. Serve yourself first, or risk burning up trying to serve and please others. Bonus taboo, your sexual appeal is incredibly underrated. Use it, don't hide it. Money talks? Honey, but this month is whispering dirty secrets. Your value system is up for a scandalous makeover. Ever paid for affection or gave love a price tag? Now it's time you ditch the cringe and claim your worth without apology. Spoiler alert, true worth includes owning your desires. Yes, even the naughty ones you blush about. Small talk? Try deep talk about the shadows in your childhood bedroom. Family secrets around love, lust, and maybe even taboo rituals want a spotlight. Your voice has power. So stop whispering the juicy stuff and start narrating your truth, even if it shocks your hand. Home is where the scandal brews. The family you pretend is normal. Plot twist. Everyone is hiding their weird kink or emotional baggage under the same roof. Time to unpack the skeletons in your closet, preferably with a drink and a friend. Your emotional foundation will thank you for it. Romance, it's a playground. But yours lately feels more like a battleground or a circus act. Taboo alert? Are you performing pleasure or just grinding through the motions? This new moon challenges you to reclaim your playfulness, the real desire, not the good little Taurus performance. Dance like everyone is watching and loving it. Work hard, play harder, right? Well, this month your office may be less 9 to 5 and more 9 to 5 shades of gray. Boundaries around sex and power at work could get messy. Remember, consent and professionalism isn't an option. And Aries, you can say no without guilt. Partnerships looks dreamy, but under the surface lacks the taboo. Codependence, hidden desires, or unspoken resentment. It's time for brutally honest conversations. Your heart GPS needs recalibration. Aiming for freedom and intimacy, not fantasy or self-sacrifice. Secrets, sex, and power plays in your deepest bonds. You are the zodiac's underground DJ, spinning all the forbidden tracks. This lunation asks, are you hiding your true self? Or are you ready to reveal your wild card? Taboo alert. True revolution starts when you stop censoring your desires. Your beliefs might be as stiff as your posture, but this new moon cracks the facade. Taboo topics like sexual ethics, cultural repression, or even that thing you were taught never to talk about are coming up for philosophical revision. Time to rewrite your moral manual. Spoiler, liberation is the new black. Career and reputation meet in the taboo crossroads. What skeletons lurk in your professional closet? Are you hiding your truth to fit in? Or ready to take a bold stand, even if it scandalizes the boardroom? Remember, being authentic is the best PR move you'll ever make. Friend groups, social scenes, and secret clubs where power and pleasure collide. Taboo warning: manipulation and betrayal may surface, or someone's hidden agenda may come out swinging. Keep your eyes open and your desires clear. Sometimes the best rebellion is just saying no, thank you. Behind the scenes, your soul wrestles with themes of control, love, and surrender. Taboo here means facing the parts you hide, secret fetishes, suppressed feelings, or guilt about what you truly want. True liberation begins when you stop pretending that the closet is a comfortable place to exist in. As this new moon in Virgo illuminates the shadowy crossroads of desire, love, and sacrifice, we are reminded that the path to healing is rarely comfortable. It asks us to confront the taboos that we have buried deep within. The messy truths about how we give, receive, and sometimes lose ourselves in the process. Sexuality here, it's more than just an act. It's a sacred language of power and vulnerability, entwined with the wounds we carry and the masks we wear. Virgo teaches us that true service isn't martyrdom. It's a conscious, compassionate offering, one that honors boundaries, healing, and the sacredness of the body. And in this we find echoes of the greatest sacrifice ever told. Jesus, who bore unimaginable suffering, not to be broken, but to be reborn. His journey is a reminder that through surrender and pain, transformation is possible, not as a punishment, but as a liberation. So this new moon helps us to plant seeds of self-love and radical honesty. Let us release the chains of silent servitude and reclaim our right to pleasure, to boundaries, to wholeness. The darkness is real, but so is the light. And within the tension between the two, we find the power to heal, to grow, and to rise.